Hello, welcome. Welcome to SEE Blissfully-lit Podcast. I'm your host, Sammy. It's an absolute pleasure to have Mitch here today with us. Mitch works in agriculture for his family business. He is a big family man, and when he has free time, he loves to golf. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mitch. I'd love to hear more about yourself. Introduce yourself to the audience and share whatever is relevant to you today.
Yep. Well, first off, thank you for having me on, Sammy. Been a strange journey to get to this point. Um, yeah, if you told me a year ago that I'd be doing this here today, I would have said you were absolutely crazy. But it's quite the journey that it's been. As you said, I like to think of myself as a family man. Got my priorities right in life. This journey's been a big helper in that. Um, I guess let the listeners know that, our relationship, um, you know, I never would have met you if it wasn't for my wife. So she's kind of the connecting point for us. But yep, got a wife, got officially a son now. So that's exciting news that's happening in my life. So um, things have been things have been looking up for me in my life. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here, and it's an absolute pleasure. You are such a gift to my dear friend Sam and her son Ollie. It's so amazing to see you and your family growing and really the positive impact that you have on each other as you continue in your life, and I love it. When you refer to journey, what does that look like for you? What would you define the changes, the shifts? Like, what is journey to you? Because you talked about it.
Um, yeah. Um, That's a very good question. It's an obvious question, but it'll take some explanation. Um, so, as you well know, Sammy, I've had some deep, dark points in my life. Um, the worst space I've ever been in my life, I reached out to you. Um, I don't know why I did either. I haven't figured that part out yet, but yeah, that was kind of the starting out point of this journey as I look back as to where I am today. Um, so yeah, I was just not a good space, and I decided to make a change for myself. Um, I knew I was having issues in the world I lived in. It didn't make any sense to me, and with that, I did not make the best choices in my life. Um, you know, Alcohol was a big crutch that I leaned on. Um, and that's when I got into my deepest, darkest space was through alcohol and the decisions I made. And um, yeah, that turning point, I just cut off alcohol. And I don't know what today's May, coming up on a year sober on that. But that's kind of the start of the journey for me. Um, and I don't know how exactly it happened, to be honest with you, but I started getting in tune with myself. Um, Mentally, I was not in a good space. Started on this working on myself, and through that process, started out with meditation um, and other things. And what I noticed as I started doing that and got more consistent with it is I was able to pull myself out of the chains that I was on. Like I felt chained down. I don't really know how to explain it other than that. Just there's a huge weight on me, just keeping me down. And as soon as I started this, um, you could feel it lifting. Like just walking around, just living life, just everything seemed lighter. Um, like a huge weight has been lifted off of me. It felt like 2,000 pounds, whatever metric you want to use, has just come off of me. And it's been exciting to get to this point. It's been terrifying to get to this point, but I wouldn't change it. Um, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. Um, you know, and we've had some text conversations here and there. Um, the big one, right, was my wife's birthday. You guys were traveling together. Um, that one, I really don't know how to explain other than it felt like just the veil lifted. We've talked about this, the veil. Um, and that's kind of why I mentioned it's exciting what's happening, but also terrifying because once that veil lifts, you see the world for what it is, right? And it's a terrifying reality that we do live in. But with this clarity that I have, I'm able to see the changes that are happening, if that makes sense.
It makes sense to me because I have the context of talking to you in the past
Right.
about your experiences. Uh, I think our audience may be a little bit confused of the lifting of the veil and the awareness of what we're aware of. So, how would you describe lifting the veil?
Um, and this is hard for me because I haven't really been able to come up with a good definition for it other than as humans we live in within a system, right? And I don't know how to explain that system to people. I'm assuming as I continue on this journey, it'll become more clear to me and how to explain it to people that are still within the veil, I guess. Um, but no, it's just you're able to see clearly. You're able to see what's happening and why. Um,
So, are you talking about the structure of our society?
correct. Yeah, and how it's operated. Um, that's for me where when I really, really got into this here a couple months ago. I asked you if there was a spiritual war going on, right? And the way I see it is quite simply, it's just good versus evil. Um, that spirit is over top of the system that we live in, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's the one that guides the system that we live in. And yeah, for right now, I can tell, I can see it with my eyes, and I can feel it. Um, yeah, there's a big change happening. Um, but how to explain it to somebody that's not? This is what I struggle with my wife as well, because I know she doesn't think I'm crazy, and I owe you a big thanks for that. Because I think if she didn't have you in her life, she would be, what in the hell is going on with my husband right now, right? So you're kind of the rock for her between us. Um, I guess I lost my train of thought there, going off the sidebar. But the system that we're living in, it's in everything that we do, right? It's it's world leaders, it's the policies that we as humans have to live in within our society. Um, it's the forces that control kind of the world we live
The structure,
in. Yeah,
structure of it. And there's this perception, I hear you mention, there's this perception to that we have to live.
mm.
And I think from my understanding, lifting of the veil is recognizing that you don't have to live any certain way and you don't have to live by these certain means that we're starting to recognize.
In that system, correct? How about, okay, let's go this route. I see the system for what it is.
And what is it?
Um, this gets pretty deep. Um, the system is a way for the physical human, is what the physical human body lives in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the spirit can be outside of that, right? The spirit guides our physical bodies.
Yes,
Our physical bodies are an avatar, right?
essentially. Mhm.
So, yes, the system is what our physical body lives in every day.
And
And
it
go
sounds
ahead.
it sounds like your physical body has been in the system, but it's now no longer changed in the system. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm just reflecting on what you've said.
Say that one more time, please.
Your physical body is no longer chained in the system.
That's where it kind of gets difficult for me. That's kind of where the crossroads I'm at right now that I got to figure out. Um, as you mentioned in the introduction, I'm a part of a family business in in agriculture, so it's an essential business, right? For for living, I mean, crops, food, everything, right? Um, so I need to stay in there for that. I guess I don't need to, but that's where I'm feeling my calling. But at the same time, I know the system is BS where we are right now. So I've got to wrestle with that. That's kind of my crossroads right now.
I hear it.
And I, that's not to say that something won't change. And as I continue this journey, that I find alternatives. But right now, this is where I'm at.
Yeah. And I think that you are exploring what the next steps are for you,
Mm-hmm.
what the next steps you believe are, you know, most beneficial to you and your family moving forward and to those around you and those who you lead because you are in somewhat of a leadership role and choices that you make affect a lot of other people.
That's right. And that's kind of what I'm understanding now is that I do have a lot of responsibility um, for people's livelihoods. And that's a big weight, but this journey has taught me that usually 99.999% of the time, my gut instincts are correct. What I'm doing now and all the stuff I've learned about the world that we're living in um, is just reinforcing that, which will in turn build confidence. And the spiritual part is playing a big part of it. I mean, it's pulling me. I don't know how to explain it other than that. I am just dead center, just going straight forward. It's just pulling me, guiding me, and that's where the terrifying part comes in. As is I'm not in control, but I trust where I'm going. It hasn't led me wrong yet.
So you mentioned a spiritual aspect. I'm curious what magic means to you and how that's playing a role in your journey. Would you relate spirit to magic?
Um, we've kind of talked about this one as well. Um, for me, it's been it's been God. I found God and I've felt Him. The magic piece, I don't know how to define magic. How about that? I guess I would say probably what I have felt is like a magical feeling. But as far as magic, I guess I don't know the definition of magic.
Yeah, and that can be, I'm asking what it means to you, so it can be whatever
Okay.
you define it as. Um, in relation to, you've found God, and everyone has that which they believe in most.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about your spiritual journey and you feeling as if there's no control, but you're trusting in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in that, and you're having this fear around it. What is this fear that's coming up for you?
The unknown.
The unknown.
Yep. Um, I guess the unknown is the easy answer. But look a little deeper. It's all new to me. So I guess that still is the unknown. Go in the future. Obviously, it's unknown, but it's powerful. What I'm feeling. It's something I've never felt before.
Could
It just like resonates in me, like I'm vibrating.
could you describe it? Is it like a guidance? Is it like are you making choices from it? Are you feeling it in your daily life? What's it look like to you?
Daily life, I will say yes, because you can't tell from this interview, but my day to day life, I'm not thinking much anymore. It's just all just natural. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, this is right. Yes, this is right. Keep going, keep going, keep going. You're doing right. Um, what were some of the other questions? Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, describe the feeling.
Yeah, describe the feeling.
Um, that's hard to explain. It's the real big first one. Whenever I reached out to you that something was happening. Um, it felt just so much just energy just came into my body and was just I don't know the right word emanating. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but just going to all parts of my body, just not quite on fire, but just like burning and just powerful feeling. Um, what else happened? It almost felt like I was receiving a download, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've heard of people describing it like that.
and I don't know how to explain the
This
download.
happened, did it
Go
happen
ahead.
during meditation or did it happen sporadically?
It happens sporadically. Um, I think for me, what I was watching at that time was me watching the physical changing of the spiritual turnover that I believe that we're going through right now. I think that kind of is what just triggered it all and saying, "Hey, yes, this this thing's happening."
And explain that to me. Were you watching the news or something?
I was actually, and I don't want this to be political, but
Yeah, you don't have to say
okay,
any names or anything.
okay, yeah. So
You can give an overall theme
yeah,
or
so there was a meeting that took place, a public meeting, and basically what happened was the person leading the meeting just kind of laid down the law as to what's happening. It symbolized to me that yes, this is actually happening. That we are going to experience a turnover, and that the old system is coming down as we get into this new one. For me, that was the turning point that it just stuck with me. Because that's when I messaged you and said, I believe I asked, like, we're in a spiritual war or revolution or something like that. But for me, that meeting was the physical human embodiment of what's happening spiritually.
okay. I can see where you're coming from there.
Okay.
Uh, and from what I've heard from my teachers is astrologically it's been predicted that we are moving into another time where just like we've had before, there's a breakdown and then we move into a new age.
Yeah, we're going into a new age.
It's brighter than it was before, but you always have to break down and get rid of what no longer serves you before you can rebuild. And I think that's a common thing in just daily life and like what you're experiencing in yourself, your individuality as you're awakening to this spiritual aspect that's,
I
guiding
love that word, by the way.
you.
Awakening. I love that word. 'Cause that's what it is. And until you experience it, you really can't do justice in the explanation of it, right?
Yeah,
And because it's unique to each individual.
it is. And everyone's journey is so different.
Mm-hmm.
It is so different. And it's pretty incredible how quickly things can change and how much knowledge you can gain in such a short amount of time. I'm very,
That's the thing that's getting me is yes, just the knowledge piece of it. I'm able to learn so much quicker, easier, no matter what it is, no matter what I'm doing, right? Whether it's work or some of the stuff outside of work. Um, yeah, it's just I'm a sponge. It's just sticking,
amazing.
and that's part of the terrifying. That's part of the terrifying part too. Is you start looking far enough. This is my journey, but you start looking far enough about what's going on in the world, you'll you'll find out. I think that's kind of actually no, I know why. That for me, that's what led me to God. Is I was able to see just what was happening and just how awful and disgusting evil it was. And that's how I got into the systems. Is that yeah, this system is just totally evil that we're living.
I can see where you're coming from there. I am curious, as someone who inspires change, what message are you generally trying to convey to others who maybe are seeking transformation or seeking to start on their journey?
Um, the first thing I would tell them, probably shouldn't lead off with this, but it will change your life. Um, and that's the scary part is people can become comfortable in their lives and where they are. Um, but as you start going through these changes, you develop a deeper understanding of one, your purpose. For me, I finally found my purpose, which should have been obvious from the get go, but
I'm curious, what is your purpose?
to provide and protect for my family.
Yes.
100%. And that's why I mentioned earlier, like it feels like I'm being pulled towards this. That's just my whole goal is my main mission is just provide and protect for my wife and son, um, which is obvious, but it's not, right? I mean, I was very selfish. And for me, you have to really dig in deep inside of you and you've got to look at the worst side of you
Yeah.
and why is that a part of you when it doesn't need to be, right? You can cleanse that out of you.
Yeah. I found my ugly parts.
It's
It's
not
very,
pretty, is it?
it is.
And it's very difficult to do. Self introspection, is that the word?
Yeah.
Yeah, self introspection. That's it's kind of embarrassing, right?
Yeah, it can be. And it's very
But
admirable that you're taking the time to do that. Not
and
everyone,
that's kind of what's driven this. Yeah, we'll circle back to I don't know if it's the first story, but yeah, I mean, when I was at my lowest, that was hard. That was hard to look inside and to what are you doing? Like this is not the life you're meant to live, right? So you dig in deep and you find out why you're doing what you're doing, and then you start making those changes, incremental changes. That's the hard part to explain to somebody is that it's not going to happen overnight.
no,
Um, you have to be strong and steady with it. I haven't gotten away from it yet, but I would imagine that if you ever decide to get off the path of the journey, it's going to be a lot to get back into it, right? You got to catch up so fast.
yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but it does to me.
It can be really challenging if you start working on yourself and maybe fall out of that and try to get back into it. I personally went through that. I went through a very similar experience to you. I was using alcohol to numb a lot of what I was going through and
Mm-hmm.
to escape. And
Precisely.
yeah, I found meditation and I started doing it, and I found it to be another escape for myself. And I fell back into drinking again a couple different times before I finally actually stopped. And it even took some time with meditation and self-reflection and personal work to get to a place where I wasn't just escaping everything and I could face my feelings and talk about it.
That's the scary part when you get on the journey. Because I guess I shouldn't say that was the scary part for me. I should say. Um, yeah, you got to face the music, right?
So true.
It's much easier to just drink it away, act like it never happened, and just continue down that path. And that's a vicious cycle and awful loop to get yourself into. But once you get out of that mindset, for me, there's no going back. There's no way in hell I will ever go back to that
I would,
because of what I'm feeling now.
yeah, I agree with you. I am curious, do you have any daily practices or rituals that you find essential to helping you stay on your path in your journey?
No, kind of piggybacking off what you said, I've gotten away from the meditation. Um, I will get back on that actually. That would probably be pretty wild if I got back on that. Seeing um, what comes of that, because when I started that, I was very early on into this and didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, I'll get back into that one. Um, Other journeys, you know, for me or other rituals, I pray. I pray nightly, and even throughout the day. It's I don't know how to explain it other than that's where I'm getting my pulling from. That pulling feeling is, I think on issues and I pray on them, and then I'm pulled into the correctest direction. At least I
Yeah,
have been every time so far. And
prayers.
it is strong, and it's funny because you know I grew up. I was raised Catholic, grew up in the Catholic Church, but I never felt that connection before, and I got away from it, and I didn't believe in that stuff um, until I started this, and it's amazing what it has done for me. Um, it's
And
made me into a much better man, husband, father. It's given me okay. Here we go. It's given me discernment. I think that is my best strength right now is discernment. The amount of understanding and patience I have now is unbelievable. Like it's truly unbelievable. Just and calm, how calm I am. It's hard to explain other than the prayers help, but also I know what's happened to our not universe, but to our society. That's kind of where all of this started. Is I know that the system that we were living in was not right, and it became difficult for me because I saw where we were headed in that system, and it was absolutely horrible. evil, horrible, and it just felt like there was just a freight train going towards that, and it scared me. It was I didn't know how to get out of it, and now I'm able to see the other side of it. Now I got out of that, but I know the truth about what has happened to society. It's truly awful.
Could you share a little bit more on that?
Um,
I'm a little.
so that's fair. Um, so the easiest example for me is, it's kind of funny, I'm in agriculture, but the food that we have been given and not given, but supplied to us, I should say. We're not given food, we buy the food, but that has been supplied is just completely toxic. Um, my wife and I, we downloaded this app. It's a tremendous app. But yeah, you can just scan a barcode at the store and it'll give you a rating 0 to 100. And then it'll give you the reasons why it's rated what it is. So, for example, like a Nutrigrain bar, you know, I never thought they were real healthy, but I didn't realize they were as unhealthy as they are. It's it gives you all the ingredients in there and what they are, and the amount of carcinogens, just endocrine disruptors, um, reproductive system issues, cardiovascular issues, and all the cheap food that is offered to us and just mass advertised to us is just gross and disturbing, and it's premeditated.
Yeah.
That's where I am in the system, where it was truly evil.
So, um, from what I've heard, uh, many things have been banned in other countries that are still in our foods. And not only our foods are directing the population into different health ailments, but the medicine and the system of needing certain medications as band-aids, or like we've discussed a little bit about, alcohol. There's also a drug pandemic
Mm-hmm.
out there.
Absolutely.
And, they are providing this. And it can get pretty messy. Uh, it's really, really nice that we're more aware of it and we can do more to help ourselves. We could download the app and
Mm-hmm.
utilize, um, make conscious decisions when we see our doctors and talk to them about, what we're being prescribed and why. Because there is good in the medical system, and they can help us with certain things, and it's great. Um, and there are amazing programs to help people who struggle with addiction
Mm-hmm.
or ready to get the help that they need. Um, so it's really, really wonderful that you've brought up this topic. And I feel like it also, links back to parts of your journey and where you're headed next. I mean, you work in agriculture. Is there some kind of bigger aspect of this that you want to transform? Is there a way working in agriculture that you can contribute to a healthier population?
Yes, and I'm laughing because I had that conversation today actually, and You always seem to know how to answer or ask the right questions at the right time. That's something I've noticed about you, and I admire it about you. I don't know how you do it, but maybe one day I'll learn. Um, though there are certain practices that we can start changing. Like one of the conversations today was regenerative farming, which is just finding ways to get better nutrients into the soil. Um, this kind of goes back into my previous point of us being poisoned, but there's been intentional degradation of soil health, and intentional poisoning of us. But yeah, that's been happening. So I don't know the answer yet, but I know actually that we will see. I don't have a time frame for it. There's no possible way for me to know, but yeah, we're going to see some fascinating new practices within farming. Um, Also, to my point about the poisoning, I'm in distribution. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, there's some stuff in my industry that's gonna get taken away, and actually, okay, let's go this route. That's where I can be a leader,
Yeah.
um, because my industry bury their heads in the sand and act like it's awful that this stuff's gonna be taken away. But I don't know for a fact as far as reading literature or anything like that, but I know deep down it's for the best, no doubt. Um, and I've talked to my family about this too, and they're not quite on board with me yet, but I'll see different headlines in a newspaper or something and point it out to them like, hey, pay attention to this, right? Like, this is what I'm telling you. Um, that's kind of where I see myself right now because it's not going to be by myself. I can't do this by myself. I got my brother's part of this. I got cousins part of this. Um, it's my job right now to make them aware of it and let them come to that conclusion themselves. That's one thing I'm understanding and learning through this journey is I can't preach. Preaching is not an effective method for me to get my point across. I've got to show examples of what I'm saying, what I'm talking about, and how they tie together, right? Does that make sense?
And allow others to deduce their own conclusions.
Correct. Because that's the only way you can learn.
Yeah.
At least that's not the only way you can. That's the only way I can
Well,
learn.
I think that that's allowing people to make their own conscious choice.
And
Rather,
that's what I want. I want more consciousness out of society. I think, we get out of this old system and into this new system. It's hard telling where this thing's going to go. It's my vision for the future is literally astronomical. This is a question I got for you. This is kind of off tangent,
okay.
but all right, us humans for all of time, we've always been building up.
Mhm.
Why is that? What's up there that we're building towards? Why do we have that just natural instinct that we need to build up?
Like buildings or
Yeah, like towards space,
towards space
into the universe.
and like space travel and towards
Yeah,
deeper.
I had. I guess this is where I think we're headed. I don't know if it'll be in our lifetimes, but somehow, some way, humans will get out into the universe, share our message, whatever it is up there. We'll connect with something.
Yeah.
I know that's going off a real deep end.
No, I don't think it's going off a real deep. It's a valid question. It's a valid question that I don't have a clear answer to.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You'll
but
think about it now, though. I
I think
planted that seed.
um ever since I was a child, I've always been very enamored by space travel, and I would go to space in a heartbeat without any fears. Um, but something I've been learning through my own spiritual practice and my own spiritual journey is, we're connected with the universe, and the beautiful thing is we can, tune in and we can plug into it at any point in time, and we can experience the endless possibilities.
I 100% agree with that statement. It's there's a reason we're here, right?
Hmm.
Why we're living where we are. We
I
have
mean,
to have some sort of connection to it.
yeah, there's a reason why Earth's the only pretty inhabitable uh, planet, and it's just perfectly tilted on its axis so that we have oxygen and we have,
And it,
the ecosystem. Like,
and it provides us all the nutrients and health that we need, right?
yeah, that's no coincidence. That's for sure.
I guess that's kind of where I'm curious to see where this journey takes me. I know I'm never going to figure out the secrets of the universe or why we're here. I might, maybe. But that's what I want to get more in tune with. Why? Why are we here?
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that it's up to the individual to come to that conclusion on their own of why they are here and why they are in this existence at this time. I think that's part of finding your purpose, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that.
because I've started to tune into that more, and I'm recognizing that a lot of being here is to experience and to appreciate all of the intricacies that are being a human being on Earth in this time. Yeah.
The
The
good and the bad, right?
Yeah, the good and the bad, the duality. I was listening to a podcast probably a couple months ago, and it was Know Thyself, and he was interviewing this guy named Sadhguru, and he was kind of going off about how life is actually experiencing heaven on earth with the dualities of all the existence. And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting perspective to think that rather than considering deaths, you're going to go up or you're going to go down, you're going to go to heaven or hell, but in living, you can experience both dualities.
And I have.
Sorry, I had to grab her. She was going to start growling.
No, you're fine. Um, I
So
do need to get going though. I guess there's some lightning here, so practice is wrapping up.
this is wrapping up. So
Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I
that's
expect to have at
okay.
least 10 more minutes.
I appreciate you taking the time for this interview today. Um,
I hope
I
it was helpful. I don't know if it was or not, but I was going.
I think everything's helpful, and it's just so good to see you and your authentic self, and sharing these experiences that are so immaculate to your life and so transformative and creating this change. It's really immaculate and beautiful to see you blossoming into this new phase of your life and your being. Uh, So at the end of each podcast, I like to take a moment where we close our eyes and do like a brief little meditation. It's
Okay.
it's like less than a minute long. So I'm just gonna have everybody, including the audience, go ahead and close your eyes. Tune into your breath, breathing into the belly, noticing any areas of the body that are stiff, that are shaky, just any spaces that don't feel calm. With each inhale, breathe your breath into those spaces. With each exhale, just release those spaces. Feel roots of light rooting down through your feet into the earth. With each inhale, just filling that light into your whole entire being. Breathing it in through the crown of your head. And with each exhale, just flushing the body through those roots of light, through the roots of your feet, all the way into the earth. And just feeling the body as it regulates with each breath, feeling that peace and that calmness. And as you're ready, slowly open your eyes with a big, big smile. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us, Mitch. It's
Well,
been
thank you for having me.
blissfully lit.
Thank you, Sammy.
You're welcome. Thank you.